I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. A Flagler County man is accused of stalking a former coworker. Deputies arrested Nicholas Sess after they say he tried to force his way into the victim's home by using his foot to stop her from slamming the door on him. The victim tells deputies she saw Sess waiting outside her Palm Coast home as she went to walk her dog. She says he pressed her on why she didn't respond to messages he sent on social media. When she blocked him, she tells deputies he created more accounts to try to contact her. In one message, the victim tells deputies Sess told her he was looking into cannibalism to repair muscle tissue. Sess denied trying to force his way into her home but admitted to messaging the woman and studying her whereabouts so he could determine where she lived. Sheriff Rick Staley called Sess creepy. He now faces charges of burglary and stalking.
This portion of Flagler's Morning News brought to you by the Daytona Beach International Airport, Delta Airlines nonstop to Atlanta, and now nonstop service to New York City via American Airlines.
An historic home has found a new address in Palm Coast. John Arking has the story.
The Meldrum house in St. Augustine has joined the Florida Agricultural Museum. The one-story wood frame house features 2 covered porches with a parlor, kitchen, and 3 bedrooms. It was built in the early 1950s by the Meldrum family, which operated a turpentine and timber farm in St. Johns County dating back to 1934. Kara Hoblick is the executive director of the Florida Agricultural Museum.
The city of St. Augustine purchased the property. The house is located in the Davis Shores area that is prone to flooding. So they purchased the property to help with flooding control and also create a park for the neighborhood. And they didn't want to demolish the house. They wanted to give it to someone, whoever was willing to move it and pay for the cost of moving it to preserve the house. And they're also offering with the house $5,000 because that would have been their expense to demolish the house. So they asked for proposals to be sent in, and we did that over the summer. Several people submitted proposals, and the city commissioners voted for the Agricultural Museum to have it.
The move on Tuesday took about 5 hours to complete. The house will now be renovated, repaired, and dressed in its original style, allowing visitors to experience the Florida way of life from the early 1950s. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
Hurricane shutters can be dangerous. Tony Magoo explains.
Hurricane season is almost over. The Palm Coast Fire Department wants to remind you that about 2 weeks after a storm, take down your hurricane shutters. With us this morning is Patrick Juliano, firefighter and public information officer with the Palm Coast Fire Department.
Barricaded windows and doors because of prolonged use of hurricane shutters or wooden boards on your homes increase the risk and hazards in the event of a fire.
And what are the risks?
They include occupants unable to escape in the event of a fire. It delays firefighters gaining entry into your home, compromises firefighter safety during interior firefighting operations, hampers the ability to ventilate a smoke and gas-filled structure.
Now, good rule of thumb is to take down your shutters at least 14 days after the threat of the storm has passed. If you have any questions or you would like some more information, call the Palm Coast Fire Department at 986-2844. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
What's bigger than a hurricane?
A house fire, when it's your house that's on fire. Rebecca DiLorenzo, the executive director of the American Red Cross Space Coast chapter, says that within their 3-county region of Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard counties, about 3 times a day, there's a house fire.
Doesn't always make the news, rarely makes any kind of publicity at all. But for those families that are faced with that, it's really more catastrophic than any hurricane could ever do.
DiLorenzo said that when there is a house fire, the local fire department calls the Red Cross and they dispatch people who can help those in need. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.